Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Power Lunch Live podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Michael Whitehouse, the guy who knows a guy. We have three fantastic guests. If you are joining us for the first time, I'm going to ramble for about 40 more seconds because nobody gets on a live cast for the first 60 seconds, so I fill that time with my voice. But if you're joining us for the first time, the format is that I bring together up to four interesting people, at least hopefully at least 60% of them are interesting, and the rest can carry them. So four interesting people who share their stories from various backgrounds and different industries. And I like to say that serendipity is my producer, and it hasn't let me down yet. We got all kinds of really good, fascinating conversations going on. Before we get on to the show, I want to share with you something else I'm doing, which is that April 4th is the Great Experiment Summit. One of our speakers, I'll let you guess which one it is, the one who's clapping and smiling. So Hannah Chapman is one of our speakers at the Great Experiment Summit. You can go to guywhoknowsaguy.com/TGE to register for no dollars, $0. There's a VIP pack as well if you want to get the recordings and whatnot, but you can actually fully participate in the entire event, live stuff, everything for free. Apparently, you're not supposed to use the word free. It's a bad marketing word. I said free and like all of our viewers went away. I guess I shouldn't use it. Anyway, for no dollars, you can come and participate in the whole thing. So definitely check that out. All right, enough about me. Let's go around the horn and meet our guests. So each of our guests is going to have about a minute or so to introduce themselves. And then each one has sent a topic that they would like to lead off. They're going to talk for 2 or 3 minutes on that topic, and then we will kick it out to the whole group and chat about it in an open, free-flowing round-table conversation. And we will keep doing that. Uh-oh, somebody heard me say it. We'll keep going until we will keep on chatting until it's time for the next topic, which is when my producer, that's the universe, tells me it's time for our next topic. So very free-flowing, easygoing. Worked well so far. First, Tyler, tell us about yourself.
Well, isn't it great to be the one to have to lead off the conversation? So Tyler Foley, I am a father, a husband, a son, entrepreneur, #1 best-selling author, lover of fine chocolates, seeker of warm beaches, including those located around Newport Beach so that, I can enjoy them. And I'm a public speaker and just general seeker of fun.
I like it. Inbal, Claudio.
Hi, my name is Inbal Claudio. I am a candle maker turned tech founder. I am a wife of a Marine officer, just got out in July. So super excited about that. I have 2 incredible little girls that I love so much. And we live in sunny Southern California, originally from Israel, though. So diverse in that aspect. And yeah, so excited to be here. So thanks, Michael, for having me.
Thank you. And Hannah.
Hi, I'm Hannah Chapman. I am the founder of X Squared Wealth Planning, and I work with entrepreneurs to help them really stop worrying about money, take control of their income, and then use the tools that we have to build wealth with joy and with ease for their business and for their personal life. So that's what I love to do, besides all of the other things I love to do, which are to go hiking with my husband. Multi-day backpacking is like where my heart lives, up in the mountains. And I have 3 kids who are 11, 9, and 6 3/4. So very important distinction. And we live in Cincinnati, Ohio right now.
Very good. Well, welcome everyone to the show. So the first topic we're going to kick off with is Tyler's, because I feel like Tyler's topic is one that I want to do first. I don't want to do it at the end to be like, oh, I wish we'd heard that at the beginning, because he is talking about give more engaging presentations. So the worst thing if he said at the end, be like, yeah, so don't be like Michael was with his. That one. So we want to hear this all first, and then we can learn from it and make sure that we take advantage of whatever he says. So Tyler, tell us how to give more engaging presentations and networking like a rock star.
Well, the first thing to giving really engaging presentations is to recognize that you don't have to speak the whole time. So you're already doing an incredibly good job at an engaging presentation, Michael. We share the platform. And when we share the platform, that's usually when our audience is most engaged. It's probably the biggest rookie mistake that I made when I was starting out. And it's one of the things that I noticed the most as I'm coaching a lot of my clients in speaking, that if they're given 45 minutes, they're like, how do I fill 45? How do I talk that whole time? Like, well, you don't. Secret. Don't. And that goes to with the networking events. You know, if you want to really be effective networking, I mean, I don't know about you, but I hate them. So people, it's hard to believe because I have this really outgoing personality, but I'm actually an introvert. Like I find social situations very draining, and I have to like pump myself up to go to them. So networking events are dreaded for me. I remember for the first probably 5 or 10 years that I attended them, I would have to like psych myself up, and I would do the networking prayer in my car before going in. Please, please, please let me find at least one decent human being who I can have a conversation with that is going to be a good fit for my clients and my services and I would walk in pumped until I actually got to sit down with an incredible gentleman who is unfortunately no longer with us, Bernie Dorman. And he taught me the real secret to networking, and subsequently how to be a better speaker and presenter and have more engaging presentations, is less about me, more about thee. And as soon as I really got that concept, the world opened up. I was a much better speaker and presenter, and networking became joyous for me because I stopped trying to sell myself. I stopped trying to fill the 60 seconds. Introduce yourself. Okay. Right. In fact, I patterned a really bad introduction when we kicked this off. If this was a networking event, I would have said something more like, who here hates coming to these things? And who really, really has a hard time selling themselves to a group of people? Because I know when I started, it was my biggest struggle. So if you are an introvert, if you find yourself hating coming to these things, I have a very simple, easy to implement 3-step strategy that will make networking easy for you. And if you want to learn more about that, come talk to me at the back of the room. Instantaneously, the people who just don't care are not going to talk to me. I didn't need to introduce myself because somebody probably already did. I don't need to say, hey, my name is Tyler. And especially if you're given that 30 or 40 seconds, it's amazing how much time that eats up. You just hit to the pain point, what you do to solve it, and if anybody's interested, come talk to me. That is marketing 101, as I'm sure we're going to learn shortly. But, I think that is the real key. You whet the appetite and come through. And then same with the presentations. You want to be really engaging with a presentation? Ask questions. Share the roundtable, and you would be surprised at how quickly people want to learn more from you.
I love that. It's something I discovered kind of by accident because I'm not super good at like planning and organizing. So I'd give a talk, and my first, I'd have like 5 or 8 minutes, right? But my thought was, I don't know what this audience wants to learn. I know a bunch of stuff around networking I can talk about. So I could prepare 45 minutes, but wouldn't it make more sense to do like 7 minutes and then go to the audience and say, what do you want to know? And I did that, and 90 minutes later, they're like, I think our hour is up because they just kept asking questions, kept being in there. And yeah, it totally works. And it's more fun as a speaker too.
Well, it is, because that guy, as you said, that guides the conversation, and then you're not saying the same thing over and over and over again. The advantage to it too is every once in a while you get that left ball, that thing right out of right field, or you knock it, somebody could left wing, whatever analogy you want. They're like,
you're a big sports guy, right?
Yeah, a little bit. And not for any of the sports that are played down in the States, unfortunately. For me, it's a knuckle puck, and I go, but you get the really weird oddball question that makes you think. And all of a sudden now you've expanded your content too, and you've served your audience. And I remember reading a statistic, and I don't know how valid it is, but it's a statistic and people like them. So we're going to throw it out there that if you are having a dialogue with your audience, the engagement is roughly around 92%. If you're doing just a monologue and you're just blah, verbal diarrhea over everybody, the engagement is 78%. And that's it doesn't sound that big, but you got to remember at 78%, you're losing a quarter of your audience. So by engaging them, by having them guide the content, you're serving them better and they feel more engaged because they are contributing to that conversation. And as you said, you don't know what they want to know when you show up. So I have, for the last at least 5 years, amended all of my keynote presentations to be far more interactive.
And anyone else feel free to jump in, because otherwise Tyler and I
Yeah, well, as you're talking, I'm thinking like, okay, well, I'm on Clubhouse, right? And Clubhouse is the perfect platform for what you're talking about, because I host a room on Thursdays and I feel emotionally drained after that hour, because I'm like you, I'm an introvert. I like give myself these pep talks before like awkward silences. You can't see people. So, I mean, you have to kind of learn to ask more questions and learn to just listen to what people say, because, that's how you get people engaged. And everybody wants to talk about themselves, right? So if you're asking questions of other people, then they're more likely to share. More people are likely to raise their hand to go on stage. So as you're talking, I'm just like, this is perfect for Clubhouse, because that's exactly what it is, right?
Well, and especially in Clubhouse, because as you said, that medium lacks all visual. And so it is, that it's purely audio. And at that point, as you said, you get those silences. How do you fill them? And making sure that people are being served, right? I think that's the other key. To be a really engaging speaker and presenter and give those really good presentations. I go back to it every time. I hear Bernie in my head. Less about me, more about thee. How can I be of service? What do you need to know? What can I do for you? Is this landing? Has anybody experienced something similar? Has anybody experienced something opposing to it? Right? Because that's when you get that dialogue. I'm okay being wrong. Tell me what your experience was and how it works, or support and validate my opinion by telling me an experience that was similar for you. And that helps gain authority, that helps gain understanding, it helps gain empathy, and really knowing your story and who you are at your core, so that when you are asked to share these things, you're able to. That's where we get these really powerful and engaging presentations.
Right. Yeah, we were just talking in my room yesterday about storytelling. It's so funny. And it's true, when you start opening up about your story, this is what my friend Darlene, who was in there, was telling me, like, when you start opening up about your story, people feel more open to talk about theirs, right? And then like more people talk about their story, and then you can connect. And that's when you kind of form a bond, when you share similar situations, stories, experiences, things like that. But it's all about asking and kind of letting people do that.
Well, it's also having the strength and the courage to open up with the vulnerability. If you are, especially because as a speaker, and if I'm going to be a keynote, if I'm the presenter, right now, the focus is on me. I have the responsibility to make sure that I am of true service by being 100% authentic. And I hate the word authentic, because I think it's overused in the industry now. It's and misunderstood. To me, authenticity,
it's used inauthentically.
Yeah, exactly. Authenticity is used inauthentically. To me, authenticity is synonymous with self-awareness. You need to know who you are at your core, so that you can bring those aspects forward to your audience and let them see in a very revealing and true manner who you are and why you are this person and what has put it together. And that creates that safe space for then people to feel that they can share as well. And then your job as a presenter is to guide the conversation. You are in a leadership position to guide the conversation along. But again, you don't have to speak the whole time. You just need to make sure that you know what the end destination that you needed to take your audience to. And so if we're going to start at point A, how do I bring everybody along so that we all end up here and in service of each other? And that's all your job is in a keynote or any form of presentation, make sure you get your audience from A to B.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I think a lot of people are like, I need to pack all the information there. People don't remember all the information. They don't remember, how you made it and where you. So if you're trying to sell with the talk, then it's you want to get them to a mindset of, oh, they know a lot. I probably want their help. Or this seems really complicated, but I probably want their help. But to another point you made about how you don't know what your audience wants. I was part of a group where I had the responsibility of bringing in speakers. And and speakers like to ask, so what does your group want to know about this? I'm like, I don't know. How should I know what they want to learn about the topic that you're teaching? I'm not an expert on your topic. And frankly, in some cases, I'm not interested in your topic, but I think the group might be. So I don't know what they want to hear. Be a speaker and figure it out.
True story. And it comes down to those powerful questions.
Yeah, I think, Michael, to your point that you just made, I see that so often when, people are, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. That's who I love to work with. So lots of people with different kinds of businesses. And, so I have a lot of those people in my periphery world too, who aren't my clients or aren't my clients yet. And they're asking, things like that. Well, what do other people want to know? And so you see those questions all the time of like, well, what does this person want? I'm just trying to like tailor it to someone else. And Tyler, to your point about authenticity, that's where, I turn that question around all the time. I'm like, go inside. What's in you that is like trying to spring out, what's trying to come forward, that the message that's inside of you. Because if I'm, Michael says, hey, we're going to do this summit and we want you to talk about, retirement plans for entrepreneurs. Like, okay, that can be like a master's course or, like a list, right? It can go either way. And it doesn't really matter because you can't give all that information at once. You have to, like you said, okay, here, read the room, like who's going to be there. Sure. You can start to formulate, is it going to be a group of lawyers? Is it going to be a group of, healers? Like you can like gauge a little bit that way, but from there you have to like, what is the thing that is really important to me right now? And start from there so that you're starting from an authentic place that you can speak to authoritatively, and then, opening up the conversation. And I have had really like powerfully engaging, I wouldn't even call them presentations. I didn't even know what to call it, but like a webinar basically with one, a friend and a group of her clients. That was literally just like, okay, here's a few minutes on some of our options. Let's talk about, what questions do you have that applies to like your situation? And it's amazing how vulnerable people will get, and how much they'll share about their money story, even in a small, like a group of other people, when they feel like there's a safe space to do it.
Well, and particularly in your line of work, Hannah, because I don't know that there is a more taboo subject currently. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that get splashed about and talked on Twitter, and everybody's opinion on everything makes it to Facebook. But you ask somebody how their house finances are, and they're like, you do not ask that question.
Right?
Moving on.
Right.
But when you have a safe space, and that's one of the most important topics to discuss, particularly in this day and age: wealth creation, wealth retention, budgeting, debt. Like all of these things are struggles that are pretty universal, despite your socioeconomic standing, right? And we get so mum about it that when you can create that safe space, and when somebody shares their story, I have a really good friend, Jen Whitney, who is also a financial coach. And she gives an incredible keynote presentation where she talks about not how successful she was at paying off her mortgage in 3.5 years or the wealth that she's created for her and her family. She talks about her rock bottom moment where she got in a credit card bill because she had purchased 50 pairs of shoes the month before that she had then taken out of the box and hidden in the closet so her husband didn't know that she was doing it. And the credit card was in her name, so it went to her, so she was able to get it herself. And she opened up the bill and went, I don't even know how to make this minimum payment. And she started scrambling and racking her brain about where can I find the money to do this? And she went, my 2-year-old daughter has a piggy bank. We've been putting change in the piggy bank. I bet you I could pull money from there. And she went into the room and she reached up on the shelf to grab the piggy bank. And when she tilted it over, the change clinked inside of it. And she went, I'm about to steal from my 2-year-old child to pay for my shoes in my closet that I'm hiding from my husband. Something has to change. Now, I can see you nodding along, Hannah. That's a story. That's a personal thing. And I'm retelling her story. When she tells it, I say it, and you're like, yeah, no, I understand. She tells it, and you're like, oh,
I'm chills.
Right? Like, oh, yeah.
Like,
Wow.
and that is the power of story, because it's universal. We have been connecting as a society, as a human race, through stories for eons. I think we take for granted the fact that we are in an age of information and literacy where you can read a thing. 200 years ago, we didn't have this literacy rate. 400 years ago, nobody could read or write, but we could all speak stories. Why was the Bard so popular? Because people could go to Shakespeare and be entertained, because we could tell the story. Why did you have town criers and minstrels? Because they told the stories of what was happening. That was news. That's how we've communicated as a species for eons. And so there's still a power in story when you can actually do it. And that's where we get those engaging presentations, because now it touches the heart, right? Once we can align the heart and the mind, we're there. You tell them stats, right? Stats tell, stories sell. There's a reason that Adam exists.
So I'm going to segue from there into a different form of selling through storytelling, influencer marketing. So, Inbal, tell us a bit about influencer marketing.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to tell. I think that it is such a taboo subject because people who are not familiar with it don't understand it, like my husband. And me, as like I said in my intro, I'm a candle maker turned tech founder, because I found that being a candle maker and having a company of one, just myself, and having a really small budget, that these influencer marketing platforms were just excluding me completely because they couldn't make millions of dollars off of me. And there are people like myself, there's nano and micro influencers. I'm sorry, I'm getting over a cold. That have like 1 follower, 10 followers, 100, 1,000 that nobody wants to work with. So I wanted to create this platform where everybody was welcome. It was completely inclusive and very affordable, and to connect. So it's just incredible when you have people who really want to build their business through influencer marketing, what can be accomplished when they're able to. So for those that don't know, influencer marketing is marketing your business or your service through influencers. And an influencer is anybody who can make an influence upon somebody else. So whether that be one person, 5, 10, 100, a million, these people have a lot of pull in the social media world. So it's a great way to kind of get your business out there and market. So that's a little bit of my expertise.
So Inbal, yeah. How do you go, like, what does that look like for an actual person that goes into the collective, and then what does that process look like?
So the platform is essentially a social marketplace where we have a social feed. So right off the bat, if you guys are familiar with Facebook groups, a lot of it is censored. So you're not allowed to promote yourself too much. You're not allowed to say this. You can only post on Saturdays when it's social Saturdays. So the social media feed on our platform is completely open. You can post giveaways, you can post collaborations, you can post job openings, you can post about your new product, your new service, about a clubhouse room that you're promoting. And then inside the platform, you essentially create a profile and you can search. So I'm just going to use myself as an example. So if I'm a candle company and I'm looking for an influencer in the home decor section who's also industry, who's also a military spouse, and only charges $50 for a post, I can narrow down my search specifically to accommodate what I need. And then I can search for them that way. So I have influencers on the platform. I have brands and businesses on the platform. And then I also have service providers on the platform, because all these small businesses need people like you, Hannah, who can help them build their business, you know? As I was building this platform, I realized like, okay, well, I need a VA. I need somebody to help me with my finances. I need a web designer. I need podcast host to, you know, help promote my business. So the platform is not just an influencer marketing platform, but it's really a social marketplace where, sorry, Tyler, the majority of them are women who love to support each other and grow together. So it's been incredible building it and kind of seeing that community of women entrepreneurs thrive off of one another.
Well, I think it's one of the most brilliant parts about what you are putting together. Even the fact that your website is unabashedly saying that you're connecting with fellow female founders, like that says that, I mean, that tells the story right there, who you're trying to serve. And is that a thing that is for me? Then you know that. And I think that's part of the good strategy. And whether you're looking for influencers or however you're trying to do your marketing, is make sure that you know who you're talking to. So when I saw your website, I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm on board with that. Because the other thing is too, I know that it's not targeting me, but I know in my head already like 7 people who I'd be like, oh, I need to let them know about this platform because they are doing this thing. And, you know, like I know a company, Drops of Gratitude, female-led, female-founded, could definitely use the services. You know, like just so many are just popping to my head because it's specific on who it's speaking to.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that, you know, especially being a tech founder, there's so many men everywhere, and they have a different way of approaching conversations. Not good or bad, just a different way. And I think there's a lot of women the women who I'm connecting with the most are really women who are just starting out, who are not really comfortable with building their business yet. And they're more open to people who are like-minded, you know, and they're more open to asking those questions and brainstorming and kind of building their business around people who are exactly like them. And yeah, my branding, even before those words were on my homepage, my branding is very like neutral, pink, mauve. So it was my branding caters to going into exactly like what Hannah's wearing.
Yes, and what you were just saying, like it's so indicative of where we're at right now, with more women founding companies, more women being, you know, in at least a, you know, equal, if not, you know, being the breadwinner status in their home. And at the same time, we still feel like we can't ask the questions. We can't be real. We can't sell. Right. And so, like, to your point of like Facebook and other group, when people make groups, or, you know, like anything that's restricting, that's like, oh, people are selling to me. Right. We put this roadblock up to the things that will actually allow us to like build our brands, to sell our products or our services, because, you know, it's like this cycle of, oh, I can only talk about it in this one container, so I'm gonna, Tyler, to your point, blah, I'm just gonna get all the information out there so that people will like at least know what I do, right? And then that's it, that's all you get, so it better be good, rather than having that open, abundance minded, you know, concept of, hey, yeah, here's a feed, put everything about your business on there. You are coming here because, you know, like, you're a founder there, here's other people to connect with, that like selling is the point, right? And building your business is the point, rather than this, like, I am contracting. I feel bad when I'm selling or telling people about my products or services. And all of that, those pieces together specifically, like people will talk about their product or be in love with what they make or what they do. And as soon as they want to ask for the sale, or, that's where it like everything gets tight when we bring money into it. Right. So how do we open up and relax about that
Yeah.
and
And
make it a free conversation?
Yeah. And I think that because and I'm sure you can totally relate to this, there's a bunch of people doing what you're doing, what I'm doing, what Michael's doing. I don't know if the networking concierge, there's a million of those, but everybody's doing coaches. So the best way that I have found to really get people to love what you're doing is kind of like what Tyler was saying, to get to know them and to ask questions of people and to network, because that's what we do. Like, we have 2 mastermind networking Zooms a month for anybody on the platform. It's an hour and a half, and it's really just getting to know each other. So, there's a jewelry designer on there. So we're making friends. When somebody's like, oh, I have a friend's birthday coming up, I'm in a pinch, like, hey, Elise, can I buy earrings off of you? Because like, I need a present, or like, oh, Hannah, I totally forgot my finances. Like, I'm just starting a business. Can you help me out? So you're building those personal relationships with people on these bi-monthly calls and networking events to where you trust them. They're not just a comment on a Facebook group. And that's how you build. That's how you grow. That's how you just, make friends and support each other. And you're not just text, you're a face, So it's just a different way to approach networking, in my opinion.
And Inbal, to that point, that is what real networking is. Yeah, do you like that? You ready? You do this? Yeah. There you go.
Very Brady
Bunch. Yeah, I know. It's fun. I love the boxes.
Yeah, it works on like rigid boxes too, and not like Zoom where they're random.
Yeah, no, you have to pay attention. But real networking is the network of people that you have. And like I said, if I go to a traditional networking event, I have statistically about 4% of the room is going to be interested in getting coaching on public speaking. And that's my primary gig. The other company that I own is a safety consulting company. And probably 10 or 15% of the room may be interested, not necessarily going to buy, but maybe interested in what those services are. So depending on what I'm doing, I'm going to be pitching one of those 2 things. The key is, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. What I need to know is, what is the room doing? Because if I'm in a room of 50 people and 4% are interested, that means two people will be interested. And that's why when I go, if you want to talk to me, come find me over here. So now those 2 people come and talk to me. They're like, I need to know. Okay, well, here, let's set up an appointment. Here's my information. Let's follow up. Now I'm going to go and network with other people. And I'm going to say, what do you do? And how can I be of service? So that you can find out, well, this person's a jeweler. And this person, sells real estate. And this person is an investment broker. And this person does this. This person is a landscaper. And so as you start to go, and then you go, what are you doing? How can I be of service? And they go, right now I'm, desperate to find an accountant because my books are in shambles and I don't know what to do. You're like, oh, well, I know this person over here who could probably help you with the finances. And if she can't help you with the finances, she probably knows the people who can. So when you're done with the accountant, maybe you want a financial advisor, and we're going to introduce you to Hannah. And then I take you over, and then it's that warm lead thing too, right? Nobody wants to be sold to. I don't want you to pitch. What I want you to do is be like, I know this person. I'm vouching for this person. Let's put you in contact. And then that's when the true power of a network happens, because you're growing each other's businesses by supporting each other's business, both whether purchasing directly from it or providing those warm leads into it, where you go, oh, of course, that makes sense. Let's put this together. That's where most people get networking wrong, is they're like, me. And you're trying to carpet bomb a room with your business cards. Business card for you, business card for you, business card for you, business card for you. Everybody eats pizza, so come eat at my restaurant. Let's go. Whoa.
Like Oprah, you get a business card, you get a business card, you get a business card.
So Tyler, I heard one of the great networking sins at a networking event recently. It's a cliche, actually, that's used in networking training, which I actually heard a chiropractor say, anyone who has a spine is a possible customer for me.
Right.
And the crazy thing was, this was on a virtual networking event that there were people from every continent on, and I'm pretty sure he could not do chiropractic over the internet. So, so he didn't say like anyone with a spine in New York.
Yeah.
Which, that's too broad. He said anyone with a spine in the world.
Yeah.
So refer me to anyone with a spine.
I heard something like mind-blowing, and it was I'm in an accelerator for military veterans and military spouses called Bunker Labs. If anybody's listening, it's incredible. It's free. But they had somebody talk about sales, and they brought him in, and they were like, essentially, when you go to a networking event, you need to network with people, not who could don't approach them as a potential customer, approach them as somebody who could connect you to somebody. So you're not selling to them. You're just getting to know them. You're explaining your services, but don't sell them. Approach them as somebody who can network with you and who
I'll go you one further.
Yeah.
Talk to them like a potential business partner, because that's what they are. If they are referring people to you, they are essentially part of your sales team. And I always go in, I'm looking for strategic alliances. I am not looking for clients. Clients will come to me if I have strategic alliances. So when I go to a networking event, I am open to, who do I get along with? Could I recommend their service with integrity? And could they likewise recommend my service with integrity? Like, would their endorsement help me or hinder me?
Yeah.
Because we know that it could go either way, right? So I go to a networking event and I am looking for strategic alliances. I'm looking for potential business partners. Now, they're not going to get necessarily pulled into my business, but I do like to reward referrals. So I will either do in kind and refer somebody back, or I have a really generous affiliate program for people who are signing people up for my coaching programs. So somehow I want to make sure that I'm treating those relationships well. They are part of my business. So I'm looking for strategic business partners.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And I find I've done a lot of my business building on kind of starting from LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I think it's a great platform for, I work with entrepreneurs. And so like, that's a really good platform to get like straight to the point with business, right? Like, we're working business, but at the same time, there are so many people that go straight into the DMs and do what's called a pitch slap. Right. So I just met you. And obviously, since your thing says financial advisor, you need all of my services. Why aren't you talking to me? Talk to me again, like message after message. Like, okay, that's
just following up to make
helpful.
sure that this goes to the top of your feed.
Right. Yeah. Like, you must have missed it. I'm like, I swear I didn't miss it. And
I wouldn't say I missed it, Bob.
Right. Yeah. But I have done a lot of my business building on LinkedIn because I see people who I resonate with, who say something that's like, that was hilarious, or that made my heart feel X, Y, or Z. Like, I really resonated with what you had to say. I would love to get to know you. Like, literally, no, there is no pitch. It's not part of the conversation at all, because you don't know if you even want to work with someone, if you can help them at all when they're, just from one or two interactions. But you can get to know someone and like have that genuine human connection. And what I found was that like people who like, oh, I hate it when people, DM me and talk to me. And yet for whatever reason, your message made me want to reach back out to you. And I said, I'm like, yeah, because it was real. Like, it was truly like, like, I love what you said here. It really resonated with me. Do you want to have a coffee chat? And it doesn't lead, it sometimes leads to business. A lot more times it leads to like, oh, like I just thought of 3 more people I can connect you with to help your business, or, like that. And that has been revolutionary, I think, in how to cultivate a network of people that you care about and who care about you. And then it goes from there.
Well, and that's the key, right? That you are invested in them, and subsequently they're invested in you. That's how it works. And so you're singing my praise. You know what, Hannah? I believe I will be reaching out and having a chat with you later.
There we go. Let's have a coffee chat.
Let's have a coffee chat. Actually, that's for any of you who would like a really good resource, particularly female-led. There is actually a really good podcast called Coffee Talk that I think, Michael, you might know. Vicky Helm. She's a female entrepreneur and author. Well, I will put you in touch. See how this works.
Fix that.
Networking. It works. Actually, I'm going to introduce all of you guys to Vicky, because she's the same thing. She wants to see people rise. It's her thing. And so when you see, some of these like-minded connections, you're like, oh, well, let's put you in touch and let's make that happen. So
I love that. Yes, absolutely.
So speaking of, I can't segue this. Hannah, your turn. Let's talk about defining your desires as a way to create a financial plan.
Yeah, I think the whole conversation so far has been a perfect segue into this, because one of the things that people tend to skip over in building wealth is, what do you want? What do you desire? Right? It doesn't matter how much money you have if you're going to sit on it like a dragon sitting on her hoard. It just doesn't matter, right? Wealth does nothing when we contain it and we restrict where it can go and where it can flow. And wealth does everything when we know what we want, when we point our wealth building towards our deepest desires, and then allow that, that money to flow in and flow out to where it needs to go. And usually one of the reasons that I love working with visionary entrepreneurs is because, to a person, like every single client that I've gotten over the last year has this desire to build their business, to build wealth for their family, take care of their family, send their kids to college, or, whatever their goals are. But that's like, okay, that's this goal right here that I have. What I really want to do, that's where my ears perk up and I get goosebumps. What I really want to do is build housing for the homeless people in my city, or build a foundation where athletes can get, the support that they need for their mental health, because it just doesn't exist yet. Or, like it's a big vision. It's not just, oh, I want to have $10 million in the bank. It's, I see that amount of money and it means I can do this thing to help this many other people. And at the same time, all of those goals are beautiful, right? Wanting to send your kids to college or private school or space camp, wanting to buy a new car, wanting to, build the house of your dreams in the mountains or at the beach, wanting to create a foundation that's going to teach people about supporting the ecology around them. Like, all of those desires are beautiful. And we all have different ones. That's the other part of it. Every single person has, some piece of them that they want to see, that they have been working to heal and that they want to see healed in the world. And so when we can define that, that's how we can make the, wealth building process, the roadmap building, and then the actual wealth building process feel more exciting, more joyful, more easy. And as you accomplish those goals, it feels amazing. So when we do that, all the letters behind my name, the CFPA, PMA, CRPC, all that they're there. So nice. All of that just means that, okay, once we have that plan in place, yes, I can actually help you with the details of making that roadmap happen. But first and foremost, we have to figure that out. We have to light up your desires, as I say, in order to be able to plan for them. So that's where that starts. And I'll share that in the show notes, where people can go and actually get those journaling pages so they can start writing things out.
Right. Is that at your website here?
It is. That's at my website. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll get a pop-up that will take you straight to, downloading those journaling pages right away.
Very nice.
Hannah, what a great presentation.
Oh, thank you.
I just was like, wow. That was so awesome. I would love to hear how you got started with that. Like when you do have a lot of letters after your name. So did you work in a firm before and then decide to kind of go on your own, or can you tell me about that?
Yes. And it's been such a journey. I've been in financial services since 2006. I started first at a bank, and then in 2007, I worked at a large broker dealer at a pretty good sized practice. That particular practice just exceeded $1 billion in assets under management. So it's a decent sized franchise of that broker dealer, and I spent the first 9 years of my career there being the the woman in her 20s, the driver, the do everything right, the people pleaser, the perfectionist, the like amazing at my job. I will do everything for everyone. I will always, not just do my job, but I will pick up the slack for others. I will drop whatever I'm doing to make sure that clients have what they need. And I ran the financial planning department for this large practice. And I learned a ton. It was the place that I needed to incubate, right? And it gave me access to literally hundreds of different people, different business owners, executives, retirees, teachers, all kinds of stuff. And when I got bored, and I was like, I don't want to write plans to give to other people anymore. I want to be the one. I was already building relationships with clients. They would call me instead of the advisors. And I was like, you know what? I want to do this. I really want to actually step into that, advisory role. And once I did, that's where, going from the right-hand person that they depended on for everything to elevated to a different position of leadership, that's where they, like my ideas and my desires and what matters to me with client service, and that those don't match. It doesn't mesh anymore. Right. My voice as an employee was really critical because I was doing all the work, but as in the leadership role, they didn't really agree with where I wanted to go. And it was a difficult decision to realize that was, okay, this is not where I'm going to be able to build the business of my dreams. And there was a lot of pain, like literal pain, like just tears for months at a time while I was having this realization. And once I made the decision, though, to create something on my own, like this is what I have to do, I was able to start seeing how every piece of my journey was exactly what I needed to experience, to learn, and to feel and overcome all of those pain points, because so many of my clients now have been through the exact same thing, right? Like a lot of them started in corporate and then got to the point where they were no longer psychologically safe there. And they weren't able to, really chase their dreams in the way that made sense to them and that felt good. And so, they launched out and now they need support in doing that. Right. And I can speak 100% to that journey. And so in January 29th of 2021 is when I launched X Squared and when I launched my firm. And it was such a beautiful experience to have, as soon as I left, my clients started calling me. And while not all of them came with me, there were enough, like more than enough, truly, that did want to come with me to help me like start this new venture. And even the conversations where it was like, I can't leave. I can't, it's too big of a transition. It's too scary, but I loved working with you and I will miss you so much. And that was like, oh, like my heart needed that too. And it was, it was the launching pad that I needed to be able to finally fully start speaking to entrepreneurs. Because I just couldn't really do it when I was an employee, right? It was, I needed to be in the seat with my clients. Like I can help you because I am there with you. And so, yes, launching my firm was one of the biggest leaps of faith that I've taken in myself. And it's been the honor of my life to have people come and trust me as their advisor and their financial coach through all of this process. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so awesome. I'm definitely going to reach out.
Oh, yes, I would love to talk to you. I'd love to talk to you. I find, like I said before, entrepreneurs in particular are they're so creative, right? Every person, like becomes an entrepreneur because they're doing something different than what they see, right? They're like, oh, I don't see this out in the world, so I'm going to create it. And so there's all this creative energy behind being an entrepreneur that I find fascinating, that I want to support, that I want to see more of in the world. And so, yeah, it's like, how do we talk about that more and uplift it more and support it more?
Well, and I think one of the biggest, sorry, Michael, but I think one of the biggest gifts that you can give too is when you have somebody who isn't more of a creative space, particularly an entrepreneur, and you're dealing with finances, particularly finances that are not steady. It's not that 9-to-5 paycheck, right? Like you have peaks and troughs for sure in the way that your business is coming in and out. Being able to speak with an advisor who understands that, because it's one of my big struggles when I was first, really trying to build wealth and I was trying to have these conversations. They're like, well, you need to budget. I'm like, I get budgeting. I've been budgeting for a long time. You tell me how I'm going to budget when I know that I'm not going to generate revenue for 3 quarters, but I'm going to make 4 years worth of a standard paycheck in 2 months. So I'm budgeting, but my budget looks different, right? I'm planning out over quarters and annums so that I can make this work. And so that's the other thing too. Like, how do we make your income a little bit more steady, Tyler? is right. Like, and how do we make it so that it's not this come and go, as opposed to, well, you just need to budget. No kidding.
Yes, that's
I think like rolling with the punches, right? Like that's just what it boils down to. Is not every person's going to be the same, and that just goes for anything. Like people who have a playbook, which sounds like the firm you were at was kind of this way, where you're like, I don't want to follow these rules. Like this isn't for everybody. And you kind of need to step out and think for yourself and provide information. And that's why people, like I personally love working with freelancers as opposed to agencies because they're thinking on their own. They're willing to adapt. Like I'm able to get more out of them as far as creativity, brainstorming, content than I would if I was working with an agency. And, so kudos for you for taking that leap.
Yeah. I know we're like getting close to time, but Tyler, you just made like that's just such a perfect point because that's the scary part, right? Like other advisory firms are just like, follow the process. But the process doesn't work. You're like, well, still just follow the process, and they don't have a better answer. All right. Yeah, you're real helpful. I'm just not going to tell you about anything now, and I'll just come to you when there are fires, right?
Yeah.
Rather than, hey, let's proactively plan for that, create a system that feels a little bit more stable while we recognize and acknowledge that, hey, yes, we're going to have some big ups and low months, and you're going to have to reinvest in your business. And all of that has to be taken into account, and it just in a totally different way. Yeah, so that's
So we are coming to the top of the hour. Although I will share the final comment of recently I bought a house, and prior to that I had never bought avocado toast. So there's obviously don't buy avocado toast. You're able to buy a house. That's definitely a solid financial.
There's a meme like that actually.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm gonna go around final comments from anyone. If you want to share anything with the audience or invite them to do anything, whatever. Now is the time to do it. So Inbal, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so my website is likemindedcollective.com. My Instagram is like.minded.collective. I am the one that runs the social media. I'm the one that answers all the emails. So if you have any questions, please reach out. I'd love to offer anybody who wants to try out the platform a free month. That way you can attend 2 of the networking events. You can get to see what we're all about. Tyler, I'd love any referral. Whoever you refer can get a free month as well. So thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Yep. And yeah, definitely. If you're interested in her program, you should definitely do it now because I'm trying to convince her it's way too inexpensive. So eventually I'll convince her.
This is true.
Those
He wants to
prices.
up my pricing.
And Tyler.
Yeah, no, and I second that you need to up your pricing. $40 a month is definitely too low for the services that you're offering. And so get in on it while you can. For anybody who's interested and you are going to be going over to Like-Minded and you're going to take advantage of some of those networking events and you like what Michael is saying around networking, but you want to be able to tell a more powerful story so that you're connecting with those audiences a little bit more. If you want to explore what your stories are. So if you're one of those people who are like, I'm just me, I don't have a story. I assure you, you have a story. There is a story that needs to be told. The thing you're afraid to say is probably what your audience needs to hear. So we just need to discover what it is that you keep in secret right here that we can get out to the world and maybe have some impact. If that's something that interests you, I do have a free Facebook group called Endless Stages. If you go to my website, SeanTylerFoley.com, it's the first thing I splash up there because it's the big thing that I like to promote because I want to be of service. I want to give things for free to people before I start working with you one-on-one and start charging some money. So if you want to learn more about me, go to SeanTylerFoley.com. Hop in the free Facebook group, Endless Stages. It's a wonderfully supportive community. We have some incredible human beings doing some amazing things in there, at learning to tell their stories so that they can have more impact. And I would love it if you were one of them.
All right. Sorry, I was at your website signing up. Hannah.
I'm Hannah Chapman. My website is right there, 2 wealthplanning.com. And like I said earlier, you can get the journaling pages to start lighting up your own desires there by scrolling. I am also really active on LinkedIn. So you can find me there, Hannah Chapman, on LinkedIn. And yes, the same, just like Tyler said, I love to connect with people, have conversations, and, you know, no matter where it goes, I can point you. I love to point people in the right direction, whether that's, you know, me being able to help you or me being able to refer you to someone else who can help. So love to have conversations and yeah, connect with you.
Great. All right. And my final words. Thank you all for coming. Once again, Serendipity has not let me down. This has been another fantastic show. 2 things we do have coming up. One is the Great Experiment Summit, April 4th. Hannah Chapman will be one of our speakers. So if you liked her, come on to the summit. If you didn't like her, there's other speakers too. But I don't know if you didn't like her, I don't like you. No. So I'm sure you liked her. Definitely come to the summit. And it's at guywhoknowsaguy.com/TGE. And then also, I have a new networking group called the Networking Brunch. It is noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Get it? Brunch. Guywhoknowsaguy.com/netbrunch is how you can sign up for that. That is also free. Apparently, I don't know how to charge for things. No, I do. I do find they have programs that people pay for. But neither of these are those programs. So come to the brunch and We've got a great format that really maximizes connections among people that I could explain in detail, but you could just come and then I don't have to explain it and you'll love it. So hopefully I'll see some of you at the networking brunch. And so everyone who's on the show, stick around for a second after we go off the air. Don't run away right away. That happened last week that someone's like, but I wanted to talk to him. So stick around for a second so we can wrap up. But thank you all for coming. And this has been another fantastic Power Lunch.
Thank you.